Shut it off. I don't want.
Okay. Make believe the light's not blinking.
Yeah, no, what I'm gonna say, I mean, it wouldn't be a proper thing. How about this, I turn around and I'm like, oh,
Okay,
I
we
know.
said that, but the thing is, the one day
Oh,
they picked
no,
on,
wait a minute, I'm coming to that. So that then we would.
I thought you went away.
No, this is the, they, you know, I was in their eyes, I was a big, dumb clock. And we would be working in those weeds, in the weeds, you know, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and they'd always pick on me. And so one day, this Irish kid says, "Hey, Daryl, why don't you sing a song to us?" I says, "Well, you know, listen to myself, what the hell are they up to now?" See, but my brain started working. And I says, "Yeah, I know some Chinese songs." He said, "Would you sing one for us?" My brain is working. I says, "Yeah, I'll sing one." I says, "But I want to get paid." Oh, how much you want? Oh, I says, "I don't want much. 1 penny, 2 penny?" Because I knew they didn't have any, you know, they had. And there'd be about a dozen kids that said, "Well," I said, "you know, geez, we get 2 or 3 cents and give it to me." And I start singing a song on a tat. "Well, you rotten son of a bitch, you're smart, but you're not smart because you're a tat." And so I get back at the Irish. Not knowing that years after as I'm staying here.
That's why I didn't want you to put it on there.
You'll appreciate it.
You get the 2 pennies?
Oh, the time I got to fight with the kid there. I started, when the second fella started picking on me, I see they all gonna pick, so I turned around, run like hell right home. No, I had a really tough. That's why I was damn glad to get in the police force. And when I was in the police force, oh,
Well, that
that was in the high class then.
long ways off for the police force.
They wouldn't pick me up to give me a ride, and a couple of them had brothers. There was 2 brothers there, 2 brothers, and the brothers were sergeants. And when you get through it, you know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, the brothers used to pick the other brothers way out en route, you know, bring them downtown. So they give you a lunch period. And when I worked up there, I had to go by myself. Find a place to keep warm, they wouldn't give you. So I used to sneak around, see the janitor, go and see the janitor and say, "Hey, get me key to keep warm in this place?" You know, in the church. He said, "Oh, no." I said, "Oh, come on." So I said, "Well, look, just give me for tonight. I don't feel too good." I said, "And I'll give it back to you." So I get the key. Next morning before I'd go home, I'd go down to the hardware store, have a key made.
Oh, that was smart.
And that's the way it kept warm.
I'm gonna sneak in wherever you can.
Go ahead, what you got? Go ahead, you were going to say.
No, you can put it on. Can't you put it on? He wants to get.
No, he wanted it, but no, that wouldn't have been it. I don't want, well, no, what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Mother and money.
Did you want your ice cream?
Okay to put some on now?
If you want some, yeah, get some of Craig and them because
Too much.
Craig.
You could, let me tell you the time there that
This is my
I was appointed chief of police, okay? I was a sergeant at the time. Sergeant, wasn't I?
Lieutenant.
I was a lieutenant at the time. And anyway, I led this list for chief's job. This was before I was appointed. I'm going back. And I think I was a sergeant. And one of the things that I do remember that hurt me very, very bad is your mother coming home and said, "Dad, they saying up the high school," he says, "the reason that you didn't get the police chief's job is because you're Italian. Is that true? I says, no, Madeline, it isn't true.
I was in the 6th grade. I remember.
It- it
Sixth grade.
You remember saying that?
I
It,
remember, sure, I remember it was Lita Berman and someone else, and they liked you, their dads liked you. And they were the ones that said the only reason that your father didn't get it was because he's Italian. And that was true though, Dad.
yes, I know it was
It
true,
was true.
but how could I tell her that she's going to the high school, she's gonna meet these others? I don't want her to. So I says, no, it's not true. It's not true. I says, Madeline, I says, this other fellows have been on longer than I have, and he's got more experience, and that's why they get him. I didn't tell him that the fellow that they gave the job was a thief there during the First World War, and he was caught breaking into a store there, and the judge said to him when they brought him to court, and this is a police officer's son, when they brought him to, no, yeah, that's right. When they brought him to court, the father said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, I'll get him in the army because the Second World War was going on then. And he joined the Second World, he was in fighting over there for a couple of years. He was in the Navy, did very little fighting. But he was on the job, he broke into a store. This is before he, when the court says, well, if you join the army, we'll let you go. And they let him go. He's the fellow that came back from the army at the time, and that's the fellow I beat in the examination. But they gave it to him because he was a veteran and I wasn't. That was the answer.
What was his name? I remember. Because I went to school with
Charlie Harrell.
Charlie Harrell.
Yeah.
Well, you had to be lieutenant, Joe. You couldn't have been.
No, because then Dad took the lieutenant's exam and he became a lieutenant.
All right.
The lieutenant
and then I
came
became
after.
lieutenant. The job came up. Harold was the one getting through, the one that I'd beaten. And he made it miserable for me even when I was through. But I heard he was retiring. Here I'm a sergeant now. I was a lieutenant.
No, you were a lieutenant then.
Lieutenant. I'm a lieutenant. That's right. I was a lieutenant. The other competitors for the job was sergeants. So I know what I had gone through before the first time losing the chief's job when it got out of my hands. I went and saw Whip Saltmarsh. He was a member of the Board of Selectmen. And I said to Whip Saltmarsh and I were very good friends. And we are still very good friends. I saw him this past year up there. And we've kept friendly. But I called him in and I said, Whip, I says, they're going to hold an examination in a couple of months, 2 or 3 months, I understand. And I says, I don't want to go through the trouble of taking the books out and start studying law unless I have a chance at this job. I says, could you find out, I says, you're on the Board of Selectmen, could you find out what my chances are of getting this police chief's job if I pass it? And he said to me, he said, well, let me find out. We're going to have a meeting. Let me find out. So he come back and he says, Lieutenant, if you come in first, you're going to get the job. If you're going to come in second, you're going to get the job. If you come in third, he says, I can't promise you anything. I says, that's good enough, Whip. So I took the examination. I come in second, and they give me the job. I was on the desk when I was appointed, the Board of Selectmen appointed me, and the phone rang, and I picked up, Winchester Police Division. Lieutenant, yeah. This is so-and-so, you've been appointed to one of the Board of Selectmen. thought back, I said, somebody's, I'm ready to tell the guy where to get off, and something said, don't do it. God was up there. So I did, hello, yeah. Yes, he said, this is the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. We want to congratulate you. He says, you've been appointed. I says, when do I take over as chief? He said, you take over right now. Right now you take over. And they did. And a couple of my competitors were downtown. And when I say competitors, they were competitive, fighting against me getting the job. This Reardon fellow that I'd been friendly with, done him a lot of favors, get him out of trouble and everything, and he was against me. He was against me, and So I knew that they used to go. Reardon used to go downtown and hang around with 2 or 3 of his buddies there all the time. Yeah, they did it, every night. So I rang the bell down the square, and I said, is Reardon there? And he says, yeah. I said, tell him to come up. So he come up. I says, Reardon, I says, I want to let you know, I says, that I have been appointed chief of police as of tonight. Oh, good. Just want you to understand one thing, I says, Reardon. You and your brother were not funny. I said, no, I'm not going to hold that against you. I says, I'm becoming chief, and I want you to do a good job for me. And I want you to talk to your brother, and I want him to do a good job. As long as you two do a good job, I said, I'm not going to bother you. And they did. They did a good
No,
job.
you were going with Madeline, weren't you?
Well, I was just gonna pull it all together. It was right about that same week when he became chief that I met Madeline, and
You showed up.
and first you said my father works nights, and then all of a sudden he was working days, and
Well, because you went.
but I didn't know
the
what he.
dinner they had down in Cambridge. You were there.
Yeah.
I invited you.
But I didn't know at first what he did for work. That I knew, I would have been scared off because up in Burlington, one of the things you didn't do, you went around in circles to bypass Winchester at night because there was this mean guy down by the country club waiting to stop you. And that was Grant.
I know that night that we called everybody and everybody came over to the house, remember? And the next night we made sandwiches. You and somebody else were in the kitchen making all kinds of sandwiches. And John Volpe came over and Leo Papo and all the big shots of
Attorney
Winchester.
General there one night. He came up to the house. No, I had a lot of friends. I made a lot of
I
friends.
thought they called you at home, Joe, when you were appointed.
No, I was on the desk because I remember me telling Reardon.
Yeah, but I mean that night when they called you from the town hall and said you were
No,
appointed
I was
chief.
not home. I remember. Hey, an important thing like that, you forget.
Well, anyways, back to this. When the first time you took the chief exam, you were a sergeant,
Yes, sir.
and you didn't get it. Then you took the lieutenant's exam, and
That's
you
right.
got the top mark in that one, and they gave it to you.
Yeah, but
Lieutenants.
did you ever know the story on that, What?
No, you were a top man in the lieutenant's exam and they gave it to you without any question.
Yeah, there was no question.
Became lieutenant.
Oh, yeah, what I was coming to, they gave me the lieutenant's job, and she was working at the bank, and there was a dinner being held near Revere. But it doesn't matter. There was a dinner being held. Your mother and I, we dressed up to go to the dinner, and this is during. I had been appointed a couple of days before, see, and so then I had this newspaper friend of mine. He used to come into the police station every night, and he kept asking me, before I was appointed, for my picture I wouldn't give it to him because I said, look, I know what happened a few years ago. I said, and I don't want to put any kibosh on it. I said, no, I don't want to give you my picture. So that was all right. So they're coming back. We were going to this dinner, banker's dinner, and the chief, now that I was going to take over from the guy that had beat me, he called me up. He says, "It's Joe." He called. He said, "That chief and our sergeant." Joe, he says, "I want to see you." I said, "Well, geez, we're going out with my wife for dinner." He said, "Well, this is important." He says, "You know." I said, "It is." I said, "Well, all right, I'll tell you." On the way up, I says, "I'll drop in." So now this is Harold, the guy had been beaten 7 or 8 years ago. So I didn't do it. He come to the door, and I says, "What is it, Charlie?" And or lieutenant, whatever I call him, because he was a lieutenant. He says, "You know," he says, "I've been tipped off." He says, "They don't want you to advertise your mark." He says, "that you got." I says, "Who doesn't want me to advertise my mark?" "Oh," he says, "a member of the Board of Selectmen." Well, I had the job. I says, "I'm telling you what to do, Charlie." I said, you go and tell that member of the Board of Selectmen to go to hell. Because I'm, it's my mark, because I was on top of the mark. And actually, this is I'm getting ahead of my story, but this is the way it happened. So anyway, when I was appointed chief, I had the story there, all the story. You can see it anyways in the book that I keep. And it worked out. We went to the dinner, and still got the job because, as I say, he gave me the impression that I shouldn't advertise. He was ashamed to know that I had beaten him, got it such.
Well, you got a top mark again.
Yeah.
You got it the first time, and you got it the second.
No, the second time when he actually was made chief, Bolo was passed.
I know, but the first time chief's exam, you got top mark. When you took the lieutenant's exam, you got the top mark.
This is where this.
When you got the chief's, you came in second.
That's
okay.
Right.
I
so
remember.
This story that I was telling you about going to his house, that's when he was lieutenant. He didn't want me. You see, he was chief at the time, and of course, having a guy, that had beat him once and not twice, and he wanted to keep it quiet.
He didn't stay chief very long.
7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
About 8 years.
Oh,
He couldn't handle it.
He couldn't handle it. He left the police department in a very bad mess.
Oh.
And I was a tough chief. The first 6 months I fired 2 or 3. I had a fellow there that I won't mention any names because he's still living. But he and some friends get together and down in Somerville stole some tires from the garage where one of these fellas worked. The police, this police officer. And of course I was chief. I got the report. What are you going to do? You got a fellow that went out and in a garage and stole tires. What are you going to do? And his wife is pregnant. And his wife is with him. And I said to him, "I'm sorry." I said, "Look," I says, "you're up there," I says, "to protect the public." I says, "You go out," I says, "you go with a thumb like that you have and steal something." I says, "I'm sorry," I says, "but I'm going to recommend that you be." I says, "I'll tell you what I'll do." I says, "Look, you put your resignation in," I says, "and I'll forget about charges." And that's what we did. He never went on charges.
Just one more story I want you to tell Craig. You might have heard it, but this is away from Chiefs, but tell Craig the story about when you were playing the banjo or something and sitting in the audience. Tell Craig the story.
Audience.
Or you tell the story from which, didn't
Yeah,
you live near each other?
Because she keeps saying,
We weren't married. But Andre and Uncle Tony they were either engaged or they were going to be married. So So he's the next one, in line to be married, because his mother and my mother wanted to fix us up to go together and eventually get married. Well, I was only about 16 when Aunt Tree got married. She was only 19. So maybe I was 17, but I had no intentions of going steady with anybody, not until I got through high school and got working. So he's across the street. They live like at a diagonal on Swanton Street. And he's up on top of the garage. It was a barn, shanty. He's up on top of the roof, and he's got his accordion, and he's singing away. And I said, look at that dumb cluck. I said, isn't he? Look at that. I didn't say it to him because he's way off across the street. But I must have said it to Tree or somebody in the house. I said, look at him. He's so stupid. I said, look there. That didn't appeal to me, Eventually,
I guess actually there was 4 or 5 Italians that wanted to marry her.
oh, there's half a dozen.
Oh,
Mussolini.
Frank, I didn't even know these guys.
You
How
didn't
the
have to
Italians
know.
are. They want to fix you up, you're just about
Married, just get
out
married.
of high school, and they got to fix you up with somebody. Well, Mr. Bazzata, which is Mario's father, was married to my older sister. And there were a lot of young Italians that came over from Italy, and, they were boarders. My mother took in 3 or 4 boarders. His mother never did because she had 9 kids. But all the Italians there had boarders. They only paid about $2 or $3 a month for board. And you didn't feed them, but you cooked for them. So there's 2 or 3 there that came from Italy, and my brother-in-law was doing his darndest to fix me up with one of these little green Italians. Oh gosh! And another time, of course, I said no. I don't want to get married. I don't even know the man. Another time, Mrs. Gelati on Florence Street. You don't know. But she had a nephew, by the way, he's still living. He's 92 years old.
oh, he was front runner.
He'd been too old for it.
So his aunt came over to our house one night, and his aunt came in with him, and I said, what are you doing here? I said, what the heck do they want here? We don't associate with him. But my mother and she was my godmother. They were just like that. They knew each other way back in Italy, and they came over, about the same time. And so it seemed like my mother's telling me of my aunt, Mrs. Gelati, was saying that Camino wants to go with you and get married. And I said,
Yeah. Not wants to run on a date, wants to go with you and get married.
my excuse was, I gotta finish school, I gotta go to work, I gotta work at least 2 or 3 years to save some money, because my father was dead then. He died when I was 16. I said, I gotta help my mother out. I said, I gotta help her out, and I'm not getting married before I'm 20, 21, 22, whatever it is. That finished him off.
It's still alive.
Oh, there's 3 or 4 other Sicilians.
Sicilian.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had a cute.
Little did you know the total package was sitting on a roof playing the accordion.
And my father does not have any musical talent.
He never was much of a
He didn't know how to play, he just was
So then I had started going with her, all right? And so how did you, get along, go out? We couldn't go to a movie. So we used to bring the brother along,
along with him.
see? So I'd stick my hand and give his brother a quarter, I should go to the movie. Then he'd go to the movie there, and we'd go down the street to another movie.
I couldn't go out alone, couldn't keep a date
But
alone.
the thing that sticks in my mind that we got in trouble one time with this thing because the mother didn't want me to go with her alone anytime to have a date. And if I came to the house, she sat over there and I sat over here, and footsies, we played we play out that side.
That was the excitement, right?
Yeah.
That was back before TV.
So anyway, the circus was in Boston. And I said to her, I'd like to bring you to the circus. I said, because this is the right thing. And I says, they have a matinee at such and such a day.
Wednesday afternoon.
A day that she was off.
Wednesday afternoon, the bank closed on Wednesday, so I had the afternoon.
So I picked her up and drove to Boston in my Ford Model T. We went to the circus, saw the circus in Boston, you know, in
In Sullivan Square.
That's right. And so anyways, you take it over from there.
Well, you see, we went to the circus and he brought me home just about the time I'd be coming home from work, see? So I got in the house and naturally he didn't drop me up in front of the house. So we headed up the street somewhere and I said, look. So my mother says, were you at the bank today? And I said, of course. Well, I had met my sister Mary was living there. That's, Mary's mother. Well, she called you up and there was no answer to the telephone. I said, what'd she call for? Oh, I had to do an errand or something. I said, we don't answer the telephone on Wednesday. It's supposed to be closed. We don't answer the telephone. Oh,
So you got away with it.
all those white lies we had to tell.
They wanted you to get married, but they didn't want them to date. That's so funny.
It was a struggle. It was a struggle.
Then he taught Grammy how to drive a car, and she drove it through the wall of the.
That's right.
Touched it.
Well,
Oh,
you bent
we
it.
know where she got it from now.
Just touched
Well,
it.
yeah, but I think you put a little dent in it.
Well, that was a wooden garage that he did.
It was a terrific thing. I had this Model T Ford, and then I built a garage with wood from where I worked up in Bakes and Cobb. And of course, when we married, there was a driveway, a long driveway. So I said to her, go ahead and put it in the garage. So she drove in the garage, but you see the Model T Ford, you don't have the brake in and the
And the gas. Close by.
where you put you call the other pedal?
Clutch.
Clutch. See, the clutch, you put in the clutch. And she put in the clutch, and instead of putting her foot down the clutch, she put it down the gas, and boom, she went.
Well, no. Well, the right.
She's got an excuse.
Right close to.
She's
The roof didn't fall through.
Just tilted a little bit.
No, I think that's the story. I mean, you were looking for a story, you got it.
It's 10:07, so we should really let Craig.
Okay,
Yeah, Craig.
why don't you get over by them, Craig and Dad, and get all of us here.
Okay.
Ah,
And take some pictures.
well, he's taking them.
Oh, yeah.
We just opened it.
I have-
Portrait?
Vintage pictures.
Oh, this I like. Oh, yeah.
Give Grammy bye. Okay, gonna say goodbye. And you take care.
Oh, I have to get to him turkey.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll get turkey.
Okay. Take care of your
And,
mother.
Frank, we wanted to give you something towards your trip. Do you want me to give you a check? Do you want me to mail it to you? But I don't want you to spend it. I want you to put it in the savings bag and use it when you're ready to.
Oh, if you don't want me to spend it, you might want to give it to Mom.
All right, we'll send you a check.
We'll send you a
Thank you.
check.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, you put it in the savings account.
Yeah, you know.
This is just enough to take some girl out there for one day.
Okay, let's see, yeah. Craig, do you want gravy too, Craig, or
Oh,
just
yeah.
gravy?
I suppose he's getting all the food.
Oh, she's getting them out of the way.
I guess there's no more rice left. Yeah.
What?